Okay, so this is Diary of a Church Mouse, is another churchy poem by Betjeman. So the situation is that we've got a narrator who is in fact a church mouse, and he's complaining about the meagre offerings at Christmas and Easter as opposed to harvest in church. And he's rather angry that these other rodents who appear in church, they only appear when there's food around, and that's what makes him angry. He's a naive narrator, obviously, particular in the fourth section. This poem's divided up into 4 sections. And I would say the main technique that Betjeman uses is allegory. So the mouse is given a voice to mock human behaviour. So it's as if the mouse is a human. The mouse is given a voice to mock human behaviour, and the hypocrisy of certain part-time members of the congregation, which is something that we were looking at in Westminster Abbey. Anyway, here among long discarded cassocks, damp stools and half-split open hassocks are cushions for kneeling. Here, where the vicar never looks, I nibble through old service books. Lean and alone, I spend my days behind this Church of England baize. Baize is a kind of a coarse, felt-like material. I share my dark, forgotten room with 2 oil lamps and half a broom. The cleaner never bothers me, so here I eat my frugal tea. My bread is sawdust mixed with straw. My jam is polish for the floor. So this is the first section of the poem. And we get the sense really that although the mouse is describing his actual home, there's a combination of words here. The lexical field seems to indicate that that perhaps it's the church is somehow in decline as well. It's as if we know that this is a mouse's home, but perhaps it also is an indication of the society's attitudes to worship, that this place is kind of rather run to rack and ruin. We've got frugality, half a broom, dark forgotten room, old service books, etc. So it kind of gives the impression that that perhaps the church is in decline. And the mouse is practically starved of nourishment all year round, and he's waiting very patiently for the harvest festival. Christmas and Easter may be feasts for congregations and for priests, and so may Whitsun. All the same, they do not fill my meagre frame. For me, the only feast at all is autumn's harvest festival, when I can satisfy my want. Let me just move this up a bit. When I can satisfy my want with ears of corn around the font, I climb the eagle's brazen head. On the lecterns in Church have usually got an eagle's head. To burrow through a loaf of bread, I scramble up the pulpit stair and gnaw the marrows hanging there. So that's the second section. And that harvest then, the church is adorned with food offerings, and it's a feast for this mouse. What kind of a church is this? Well, we think it's probably quite a rural, traditional church, because look at the harvest foods. We've got ears of corn and loaves of bread and marrows and so on. So it's quite traditional foods. Nowadays, of course, we bring in spaghetti hoops and things like that, don't we? The harvest then is great. This mouse loves the harvest because there's all this food about. So moving on to the third section. It is enjoyable to taste these items ere they go to waste. Which is a kind of a strange thing to say, because, well, doesn't the church give the food away to the poor? So now we're beginning to think, well, what kind of a mouse is this? What kind of a person? What kind of a character is this mouse that thinks that that the harvest food goes to waste when it's taken away from the church? So maybe this mouse is a little selfish. But how annoying when one finds that other mice with pagan minds come into church, my food to share. So yes, I mean, this mouse is a little selfish, isn't he? Doesn't like the fact that other rodents, so other churchgoers, who aren't loyal to this church, like the speaker mouse is these mice are coming in and they're taking his food, my food. Notice my food to share. Who have no proper business there. 2 field mice who have no desire to be baptised invade the choir. A large and most unfriendly rat comes in to see what we are at. He says he thinks there is a God, and yet he comes. He says he thinks there is no God, and yet he comes. It's rather odd. This year he stole a sheaf of wheat. It screamed, "Our special preacher's seat." So the mouse then is complaining about some of the other people who appear at harvest. They're not interested. They're not really religious people. They're not interested in rituals like baptism. Some of them are just plain busybodies and come out of curiosity and don't want to mix with him. And basically, they're not loyal churchgoers like this person, like the rodent who's speaking. So we're getting the impression of quite a whingy, complaining mouse who's sort of going about his business, and he's sort of loyal to the church, but perhaps not the most generous spirited. Let's turn the page. Get this so that you can see it. Okay, and prosperous mice, so he's still talking in this third section, he's still talking about all of these other mice that come to, there's some that come to enjoy the music, and prosperous mice from fields away come in to hear the organ play. So they're not interested in worship again, they're just here for the music. And under cover of its notes, ate through the altar's sheaf of oats. So there's a suggestion of hypocrisy there with the word undercover. A low church mouse who thinks that I am too papistical, too Catholic and high, yet somehow doesn't think it wrong to munch through harvest evensong, while I, who starve the whole year through, must share my food with rodents who, except at this time of year, not once inside the church appear. So this business about low church and high church, of course in the Anglican church we've got different kinds of churches. You've got low church, which is sort of quite relaxed and informal, and then you've got high church, which is almost very Catholic in style, lots of kind of incense and sort of old-fashioned hymns and that kind of thing. And so, in the Church of England, there is this bit of a kind of antipathy between low church and high church. They don't really like each other very much. And I guess this is what Betjeman's drawing attention to here. But this one mouse seems to criticise the speaker mouse for being high church, and it just sort of reminds us of the antagonism between different parts of the Anglican Church. They seem to be mutually critical of each other. So again, notice share my food. Compare that to line 29 earlier. Doesn't want to share. It's not a very Christian virtue, is it? So let's move on to the fourth section, where we can really see that this speaker is a naive narrator. He doesn't really understand the whole picture. Let's have a closer look at it. Within the human world, I know such goings on could not be so, for human beings only do what their religion tells them to. They read the Bible every day and always, night and morning pray, and just like me, the good church mouse worship each week in God's own house. He's got that wrong, hasn't he? There's a certain amount of irony intended to perhaps hit a nerve with the reader, that this mouse thinks that all humans are not like this. And of course, the joke is that they're really just like the rodents here. And then it ends on an ironic note. But all the same, it's strange to me how very full the church can be with people I don't see at all, except at Harvest Festival. So there's an ironic note at the end, and it's very much as if, the humans are really only, rather like the rodents, they're really only interested in coming to church for high days and holidays. And so that's the main comic device really in this poem, is the use of allegory. So it's kind of, there's symbolism here. So the rodents are parishioners. And the food, I guess we could say, is perhaps the Eucharist. And the fields, the various other fields, the mice from fields away, are areas of the parish, perhaps other parishes even. So that's the allegory that's going on here. We've got the mice actually representing human beings, human parishioners. And so Betjeman, he uses this allegory to highlight the hypocrisy of part-time churchgoers who only come to church on special occasions when it suits them. Like, for example, the mice at Harvest Festival, they get their food, they get their enjoyment. So unlike the rodents who come for food, the humans are not interested in the holy meal of the Eucharist, but turn up really for the superficiality of the festival. And that's Betjeman's point here in this poem. So lots of irony here, and through the use of this allegory, it's a great comic device to use.